Hello, this is my Genesis collection of the first Genesis album from Genesis to Revelation. I've grouped them here into CD editions. I only really collect CD from the 1980s, the 1990s, and 2000s and onwards. There's too many CDs here to talk about each one in too much detail, so I'll go through it as I see. This CD, with the disturbing image on the front, was probably the first one I actually picked up on CD. I would have picked this up at about 1991, I think. It's got the original album tracks. The original album bookended here by the first and second singles. This one's by Rock Machine, and it's MACD4, the catalogue number. Yeah, so that started me off learning about the group and hearing this strange first album, which actually I found very different from the actual Peter Gabriel years that I was used to at the time. Then this one. Got your classic first album group line up there. Once again, bookended by the first and second single. This one's by Castle Communications, the compact collection, and the catalogue PA CD13. And same image on this edition. This one, I heard about this one in listings, and the word was, and it seemed a bit more special than other editions that I'd picked up at that time. So I went out, and when I saw this, I snapped it up. I don't think it's anything really special. Looks like the same kind of deal with the first two I've shown you. First and second single. I think all of these releases have little quirks about them, errors and different ways that they're presented. The sound quality sometimes differs slightly. Now this one, interesting silver collection, seems very collection, a bit of, well, I don't know, a bit of effort gone into the sleeve, but certainly presented in a workman way, kind of way. This one is by Pop Simonek. Disky Communications. And the PA CD7006. Next one, another slightly kind of Garden of Eden kind of image there. Once again, no idea who the original artist of that would have been. And by the looks of it, the same again. Original album bookended with the first and second single. Green Line Records. This one is produced by, and the catalogue number CDGLP 449. So interesting for the sleeve at least. And then we come on to this one, from Genesis to Revelation. The top image, of course, is for the group at the time of the original album's releases. The photographs below, Phil Collins wasn't and Phil Collins wasn't even in the group at the time, as Steve Hackett wasn't in the group either. Tony, Peter, and Mike, of course, were. So that would become a theme of showing incorrect pictures, but I suppose there were too many pictures available. This one name checks Arthur Greenslade, who actually put the strings, who actually was asked to put the strings onto the album. The band didn't actually know that was going to happen, so they weren't very pleased that was done. They think it took something away from their original production. So what have we got here? So we got, I presume this is just, one disc. Half decent picture of Peter Gabriel inside. There's a bit more content on this one. So we've got the first album, and then we've got some bonus tracks there. Silent Sun. The Silent Sun was the single name, and the album track was just Silent Sun. Actually, a typo on this actual release called The Silent Gun, but we'll gloss over that. So a little bit more content there. Actually, thinking about it, there isn't more content there. It's the original album with the first and second single at the end. Okay. Now we're looking at a CD release, which has an approximation of what the vinyl album would have looked like, apart from the Castle Legends logo there. Just a plain black sleeve. I understand that when the album was first released on vinyl, it was being put in the religious section of record shops, which wasn't a fantastic marketing move. And that's a very simple release there. Catalogue number for this one is CLC 5002. And what have we got here? Little sleeve notes in there. Okay. Now we're getting a bit kind of cheesier, obviously not the correct era of image. That came later, the flower costume for Peter Gabriel there. A bit garish, rock star music. And pretty down the line, first and second single, and the original album there. Now this one, there's quite a lot of effort being put into this release. It's got a sleeve, and I believe this one has got kind of additional photographs inside. See if I can get them all out carefully. This makes this release a cut above the rest, really. There's the image of Peter Gabriel we saw before. Group photograph. And another classic group photograph of the time. Now I think look at this. To Paul. John Mayhew. I'd actually forgotten these were signed. I'm not actually sure whose signature that is on there, but that might be Alan Hewitt, possibly. His signature there. Ah, wow. Again. No, Anthony Phillips. Best wishes. Oh, what I've got here is Anthony Phillips, John Mayhew, and Chris Stewart. Best wishes from the angst-ridden youth in the bottom corner. There he is. I met him at a book signing for his first book, Driving Over Lemons, which he recounts some of his experiences with the band, in the formative years of the band. Wow. So I went, so this signature was done at a separate time. I met John Mayhew and Anthony Phillips at a Genesis convention, I think maybe in 1999. I think that was. I'll have to find the details of that. So yes, of course. This is Anthony Phillips and John Mayhew and Chris Stewart. Wow. And the CD. This is the same release, without obviously the additional bits and pieces. Yes, essentially the same. Same catalogue number. Yes. And the release tracks are much the same. Not so exciting, this one. Looks like I bought this in the United States. Opportunist purchase at the time, I think. And this one's by, spin it over, the Compact Collection D19841. Seems quite a lot of money for what it was, but there we are. And then we move on to this. Now they're really starting to put less effort into. Look at that. There's even a image of the band on. These are the same catalogue number. Both the images are obviously incorrect dates, but at least this one's a little nearer the correct date than this one. Chester Thompson and Daryl Sturmer, with Michael Rutherford and Tony Banks in that one. Yeah, I believe they're the same catalogue number. If I can focus in just about. There we are. RPCD 006. And the track listing is going to be the same. First and second single and the original album. There we go. This probably marks the end of the 1990s in versions of my CDs of this album. This album, of course, only sold 650 copies when it was originally out on vinyl. But I suspect it sold a few more CD versions to fans across the world. Bonus 2 includes 2 bonus previously unreleased tracks. This is the original album version. Now, what have we got here? Now, here we are. Now, this is where things get quite interesting. It's got the original album, and it looks like, yes, it's got the first single at the top, tracks 1 and 2. Then after the original album tracks, it's got the second single, and then a couple of very interesting releases here. Image Blown Out, demo recording, and She's So Beautiful, which, as it says, was the original demo recording which formed the basis of The Serpent, which was on this album. So, yes, it's a genuinely interesting release, which Disky Records had gone to, I don't know how much trouble they went to get these extra tracks. Maybe they were offered them. But, yeah, that's a very interesting release at the time. Obviously, we've had reissues come along later on. Now, here's our third image here. Now, not exactly sure what this is supposed to depict, but at least it shows some kind of different thinking. Who's this release by? This is by Original Master. So we've got there's 2 discs in this one. Once again, there's the singles on here, but then you've got Image Blown Out, She Is Beautiful, Try a Little Sadness, which is a demo version, and then significantly Patricia pops up on here, which is the demo, I believe, that Jonathan King actually listened to, which convinced him to show interest and sign the band. And there's a 22-minute interview here, which I probably haven't listened to for a long time. So, there's the inside there. Snapper Music label. Snapper Music. So, they're starting to get a little more interesting. Now, we have another attempt at a original cover style. Deluxe 2 CD edition. A little bit of artwork, I believe that was in the album sleeve or the vinyl. And note all the lots of singles, lots of demos. Got Patricia there, the 1967 demo. Try a Little Sadness, She Is Beautiful, Image Blown Out. And then you've got the singles. And then Where the Sour Turns to Sweet demo, 1968. In the Beginning demo, In the Wilderness Rough mix without strings. Now that would versions without strings would go on to appear on the band's own official versions in later box sets. I dare say in better audio versions as well. And you've got One Day, An Image Blown Out. and that's on Edsel, MED CD 721. That was 2005. Bit of effort gone into there, which is more than you can say for this. I picked this up for the grand total of £1 at a car boot sale, which, considering all the other versions I've got, is about the right price, I think. They even cut off Chris Stewart, I've just noticed there. But they still have the original album on there, singles and demos, but they haven't gone to so much trouble as to tell you they're demos. Well, some they say there's a rough mix. Oh, and then you've got the 2006 versions of Silent Sun, The Silent Sun, I should say, and Where the Sour Turns to Sweet, which I believe is the original track with a bit of contemporary drumming on, which I don't think was greatly received when it was released. Yeah, so at least an attempt at a little bit more content and reason to actually buy the CD. And then we have Double Legends 2 CD. Your contemporary photograph of the band at the time. Yeah, and a strange way to group the actual tracks, if that's correct. Something tells me that the track listing isn't actually correct on here, and it's actually the album first, but I could be wrong. So yeah, you've got demos on there, and you've got the 2006 of The Silent Sun and Where the Sour Turns to Sweet on there. So you've got the bonus tracks on there, and so yeah, so there is it has a worth if you didn't already have the album. And then to finish, Genesis The Silent Sun White Collection. White 239, I believe that says. Let's have a look inside. Yep. And the track listing. Yep, also includes demos and the 2006 tracks, as well as the original album. So there we are. By the way, the one of the albums I showed you came in one of these oversized cardboard cases. This release at the time was my go-to version, but it got superseded by other versions along the way. So there we are. Quite a lot of versions of the albums through the years. I must say at times I was getting quite tired of collecting the same album over and over again, but they have a value to them individually, to me at least anyway. They're part of my collection. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.